As at New Year's Eve 2019, people in many places in Australia have been living in catastrophic bushfire zones for months. The effects of the fires are felt at every level: environmentally, socially, psychologically, physically, and materially. Nature does not have a voice to protest this situation. From the tiniest bee to the largest marsupial, from the smallest algae to the tallest ancient trees. Over millions of square acres, unseen by human eyes, they suffer destruction, death, pain, and habitat devastation. On the 23rd of December 2019, my brother and sister-in-law, who own a private wildlife sanctuary in Duckmalloy, informed me of an upcoming backburn operation at Jenolan Karst Conservation Reserve that they vehemently opposed, as the conditions that weekend were the worst possible for a fire. The backburn also involved significant clearing of wildlife habitat. I went over to Jenolan to witness what was happening and to investigate my family's concerns. What concerned me was the speed at which this was happening. The Jenolan Karst Conservation Reserve is World Heritage listed and one of the most visited tourist sites in Australia. It also rates internationally for its anthropological, geographical, and biodiverse environments, with ancient bone deposits of both humans and animals dating back tens of thousands of years. It has a known history of Indigenous culture that used the whole of the Jenolan area as a sacred healing place for the Gundungurra and neighbouring Wiradjuri people. This particular piece of bushland is unique. I thought, would our society burn down the New South Wales Art Gallery if they wished to do a backburn? I recorded this film because amongst all the human tragedy of these fires, an enormous environmental and cultural tragedy is unfolding in silence. Hi. Is there anyone from National Parks I can talk to?
I don't know that there is anyone from National Parks.
Okay, is anyone from the DPI or someone like that?
Not sure, I'll ask one of these guys.
No one? Okay. Is there anyone I can interview?
You have to wait around for a while and speak to one of the guys.
Forestry Corporation. The other thing is, there's a resident over the way, and they said I can go down and visit him. Is there a way I can get in there? His place is not burning, apparently.
Well, the wildfire's going on over there, so I wouldn't imagine so.
Is it accessible from the other side?
I don't know.
And this is all backburned up here, is that way?
Yeah, it is.
Oh well, if anyone's here, I can talk to them, that'd be good.
Yeah, okay. When one of the crew leaders turns up, I'll send him over.
Alright, thanks.
I mean, need to talk to forestry's media people.
Yeah.
That's the people to talk to. Can't be, I'll grab you a number.
Okay, great. And also, what's happening with national parks? Are they, like, what's the demarcation between you and national parks?
Yeah, we work together, obviously, but I can't tell you what they're doing.
And are they in there now? Like, are they?
They're out finding. I'm not sure exactly where they are, but
Okay.
what I'll do, I'll ring their office.
Yeah.
And I'll get the number for forestry media. You'll need to talk to them.
Okay, thanks.
Saturday the 28th of December 2019.
But this is all because they backburned. They backburned in the most stupid possible time at the most stupid possible place. The mismanagement and the idiotic bureaucratic decision making has created this Armageddon. And that's not including all the reserve that's been fried and all the animals that have been killed as a byproduct.
Jenolan State Forest, right next to the Jenolan Reserve, Backburn. That's out of control. There were warnings and correspondence from local residents vehemently opposing the backburn because of the wild and extremely hot weather conditions. They pointed out that it had the most potential to get out of control. They were advised 4 times by forestry firefighters in the state forest next to the reserve that the backburn had got out of control. As the national park is a legal haven for wildlife, during this high summer backburn, what steps were being taken to assess the effect of the fire on animals and plant life? Why was the decision made to do this? What Indigenous fire management techniques and Indigenous fire master consultant appointments have been considered for the Jenolan Karst Conservation Reserve? In view of that, wherever they are in place, example, Northern Australia, Northern Territory, Queensland, Western Australia, the environment remains healthy and intact.
All they care about is their asset, pine plantation. The national parks don't care. Where are national parks? Where are they? Where are national parks right now when that's burning out of control? Where are state forests when that's burning out of control? Where is the RFS when that's burning out of control? Oh yeah, they'll water bomb the pine plantation. They did that, but they won't water bomb this. Bugger all the thousands of animals every minute that are getting fried alive. Bugger them. As long as their pine plantation is safe, which it isn't because they've lost nearly all of it. Still, here we have a fire, but there's no one here.
So strange looking.
Yeah, it's eerie, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely eerie.
So we're at Jenolan Caves Reserve. This is a backburn that was lit. It did get out of control. They've done a massive tree clearing operation along the edge of the Jenolan Reserve. So this is like a highway now going between this private property here and that's the reserve there. Now, being up here, there's not any national park officers or anything that I can see. They've let the reserve just burn. Considering that there are a number of animals that hibernate over the winter, like reptiles, echidnas and small marsupials, burning the bush over summer means that there is an enormous amount of above-ground active wildlife that is not there in the cooler months. It also includes the summer grasses and foliage growth that are food sources for kangaroos and wallabies and other small marsupials, along with enormous insect life that is also a source of food and in itself requires foliage. How will this affect rare species, for instance the recovering of quoll and koala populations? Bird life that would normally not be there in the cooler months are now nesting or raising young at this time of year. These include migrating species like the rufous whistler and nomadic large birds like the yellow-tailed cockatoo. Territorial and long-living birds like kookaburras, white cockatoos, raptors and bitterns are either nesting or raising young. They are likely to be destroyed, orphaned or starve in this high summer backburn. What steps were taken to protect, sustain and ensure havens and food for affected wildlife? Sunday the 29th of December 2019. When was the last backburn at Jenolan Karst Conservation Reserve? Local residents say that there has not been a cool season controlled backburn for at least 7 years. That's a front.
As you can see, there's no one here doing anything, including this. Look, this is the edge of the
I know, this is
unburned. So this is going into unburned territory and they're just letting it go without any oversight whatsoever. But where are they? It's like there's not a single soul around. Completely irresponsible. They really have let the game down, I'm afraid. And this is the proof. We've seen the proof that national parks are incapable of protecting the forest. Like you saw, they burnt off from the reserve gate where the trees were at the reserve gate.
Yeah.
And how there was barely anyone even there when they were burning off. And yet they justified this. No reason for that. Is there? What's the reason?
The Jenolan area has long formed an important part of the culture of the local Indigenous people that they know goes back at least tens of thousands of years, including human remains found as old as this. Aside from many other intense uses, the area was a healing place for its permanent underground springs and holds particular significance for the Gundungurra and neighbouring Wiradjuri people. Was there an Indigenous cultural advisor on hand to check for scar trees or cultural heritage indicators, artefacts or species, or check totemic and environmental issues from an Indigenous perspective? Oh, hello. Look, I was just wondering if I could speak to someone or interview someone about the Jenolan Karst Reserve backburn fires on the 28th and the 29th of December.
Look, it might be a little bit difficult for us to facilitate any interviews today, given that most of them respond to ongoing fire situations across the state.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest is that if you send us an email,
Yep.
we can take a look at that and see if it is something that we can facilitate.
Okay. What would be the response time for that?
Well, I don't know, sorry, because we're in fairly unusual circumstances at the moment. But what I would ask is that if you could include information detailing when your deadline to know whether this is possible and your deadline for actually recording it if it can proceed.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your help. And I'll get that email over to you. Lovely. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.